Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. This is the third and the last in the series of 3 retreats that we contemplated of conducting here. And the total topic was body, mind, soul and beyond. Out of these 3, we have taken care of body and beyond. The first session, then in the second one, we have taken care of mind and beyond. Now the third is remaining, the soul and beyond. So before we make a soul curry, let us first of all revise, because you are all not there when earlier 2 sessions were conducted. So if I go straight away, you will get lost. So let us try to summarize what we have studied in the first 2 sessions. And then from tomorrow morning onwards, we will enter the soul. If we take one principle, that what we actually are seeking, see? Normally, we lead a blind life, imitating others. Somebody has got lot of money, I should also have a lot of money. Somebody is healthy, I should be also healthy. Somebody is a bodybuilder, I should also be a bodybuilder. Somebody is married, I should also get married. Somebody is rich, I should also become rich. Somebody has got a car, I also must have a good car. So, we are basically only imitating. And our imitations are based on the TV. What type of clothes we should put on? Do we have any freedom? The TV dictates. It's the pink season. It's the blue season. And we, like a sheep flock, just start following that. See? Then the TV tells us, you should not take the purified butter, ghee, it is bad for health, cholesterol. So we stop. Again, then the same TV tells us, you should take ghee, it is good for health, then we start eating. See, friends, earlier they told that you should remove the appendix if it is not good. Now they say, no, don't remove the appendix, put it back. See, we are leading our life mechanically, dictated by the whims and fancy of the industry magnates. See? Anything which can make an industry is good. See? For example, food. Food is not a necessity to be given to the human beings for a dignified existence. But food has become an industry. See? So throughout the country, we should have the same type of dumb food. McDonald's, same thing. Anywhere you go. See? No choice. Because they dictate what we should eat. See? Therefore, if we see our life, are we living intelligently or not? Please come and sit in front. I don't get disturbed even if you dance. Right. Good. So, are we leading our life intelligently or not? Then we will come to know this kind of life we are leading Only because we have a mistaken identity, we have started believing, accepting firmly with conviction that body I am. So our whole life is what? Living for the body, by the body, on everybody. That is all. See, if we are asked, suppose we die and go up there, and the God will ask us, hey, come on, what did you do? I made you a human being. What did you do? Sir, I have converted sumptuous food into terrible garbage. What else? See, friends, because we are living only at the body level, without analyzing, understanding our own experiences of life. This was the first session of about 10-15 lectures where we have tried to understand, can we be the body? First step. Howsoever intelligent we may say that I am a self-made man, like an amoeba born out of binary fission. No, our body is not created by us. Our body is created by our parents. Number two, our body never listens to us. Who wants to fall ill? But pain here, pain there, pain everywhere. Who wants the pain? But it comes. Who wants to become old? But it comes. So, the body is neither created by us, nor the body listens to us, and yet we carry two burdens of body on us. That is, first, body is mine, the possessiveness, and second is, I am body, the beingness. Two things. Technically, it is called as mamata and ahanta. See? And about the worldly things, they are related by us only by one thread, possessiveness. This is my camera. This is my car. Possessiveness. So be attentive. We are tied down under two conditions. With the worldly things and beings, we are tied down with one thread of mamata or possessiveness. See? And with our own body, there are two threads. Body is mine and I am the body. Two things. So if you have to cut, is it easier to cut the two threads or one thread? One thread. So what should be the real intelligent life? See? If we are asked, rather, if you observe this, when we talk to others, what do we talk about? We talk only about our past. I was born here, I am a Russian, I am a Japanese, I am a Russian, and then I did this, I did that thing. And then you came here, and then I came here, Kailasam, and then I am in the class. And what next? Nothing. You come in the utter present, you have nothing to talk. Think, friends, this burden of possessions that we all carry like a mule, and simply complain. See, friends, therefore, the first step is find out, can we be the body? See? And the moment this riddle is solved, What will be the net result? Net result will be this whole waking world which we think is real. That whole waking world will lose its impact on us. See? Next time you go to a room and sleep, next day morning when you wake up, find out, during sleep, where were you? In India or outside India? Where were you? Inside the room or outside the room? Where were you? Inside the body or outside the body? What were you? Man or woman? Young or old? Husband or wife? What were you? Nothing. And you had nothing. Two things. We were nothing and we have nothing. And what is our experience in deep sleep? You do any job for 7-8 hours. After that, what is the experience? Come on, I am damn tired. See? Like today, I'll tell you my story. Last night, I went to some place, some big function, and the function was over by about 10:30 or so. From Bombay to one flight, 1.5 hours. From there, 2 hours drive. So 10:30 or so, I retired. In the morning, 2 o'clock, there was a special puja in Shiva temple. So in the morning, 2 o'clock, then finished my bath and went for the puja. So from 2 to 6 was the puja. And after that 6 o'clock, I had my little bit of tiffin, tea, coffee, and then again drove to the airport, and then from that next flight to Bombay, and from Bombay to here, and here I am with you. So I am damn tired since 8, 10, 12 hours I am tired. Any job you do for 8 hours, you are tired, is it not? Now, if you sleep for 8 hours, do you say, come on man, I am damn tired, 8 hours I was sleeping? Now see friends, what is that which recharges us in the deep sleep? There is only one thing, that is, we are nobody and we have nothing. See, we are leading a very base life. See, there are 3 stages through which every seeker has to go. Technically, I'll tell you in Sanskrit and then bring it in English. There are 3 stages. First is Adi Bhautik, second is Adi Daivik, third is Adhyatmik. First is objective, second is relatively subjective, and third is absolutely subjective. 3 stages. See? Now take any experience of our life. This is a mobile phone. Object. Objective. So in every experience there are 3 components. One component is the object of experience. This is the object of experience. It is so nice, I must buy it, I don't have anyone. It is so nice, it looks beautiful. Object. So when I start desiring that object, where do I go? I go away from myself. Now just try this, friends. Spiritual life is not a mechanical thing. See? We have to lead our life extremely alert. See? Now try this right away. You see the backdrop behind me and assess yourself. What is your experience? Where are you? You are away from yourself. See? When objectivity is prominent in our life, we go away from ourselves. So what we do? I am bored of this place, let us go for a vacation. So what we are doing? Only one thing. We are running away from ourselves. And where will you run away? Wherever you go, there you are, the culprit of all the problems. Think, friends. Just observe this. This you will not get in any books. See? So when you are observing that backdrop, your experience is you are away from yourself. Now, leave that object and now focus your attention on my beautiful face. It may not be beautiful for you, for me the best. Now when you are thus withdrawn from that backdrop and came on my face, what is your experience? You are relatively closer to yourself. The distance is reduced. Second experiment. Now third experiment. By your own eyes, look at your own eyes. See? Objectivity is dropped. You may try to see. You cannot see your eyes. What has happened? We have simply discarded the importance of objectivity in our life. See, you are all the students of yoga. The first step is yama, isn't it? All of you are students here? You are a student? Who else? Nobody? Okay. So, in the eightfold limbs of the yoga, the first one is yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. The first step is yama. Yama is the don'ts in life. Yama sadhana is don'ts in life. In that, one important aspect of the five is aparigraha. Aparigraha means non-accumulation, non-possessiveness. The first spiritual practice. See, friends, but what is our present condition? We keep on accumulating so many things. And we hardly use them in our life, including our own brain. We hardly use. Not even 2%, 3% it is used. Mechanically lived. See? Therefore, let us re-evaluate our own life. If we have to re-evaluate our own life sincerely, Upanishad tells us, Parikshalokan Karmachitan Brahmanaham Nirvedamayat Na asti akrutaha krutena Tadvijnanartham gurumeva vigachet Samit panihi Shrotriyam Brahmanishtham. If we re-evaluate our total past life, what will be the result? Nirvedamayat. We are bound to get dispassion. See, friends, what we have done till date, if we are to write our autobiography in one sentence, what we will write? We have been struggling to fulfill the desires of our life till date. Can we say that I have no more desire? And yet we have not learned that fulfillment of the desires does not lead to fulfillment in life. See, friends, as children, we were wanting the digital games. There was an Indian mother and a digital child. So the digital child was all the time playing with that, like this. So the mother got disgusted. Why don't you go out and play? All the time sitting inside the house. Okay, mom, don't become angry. He took his digital game, sat outside. See? And after that game you play for some time, then you get bored of it. Then you throw it away. Then you want a new game which comes, the Angry Birds, and you get Angry Birds. After some time, you get angry with the birds also. The same thing, I don't like it, See, I want a different game, now. See? So what we are struggling in our whole life is only trying to fulfill our desires. Alas, we have never evaluated that we have utterly failed in fulfilling the desires of our life. Then what we do? We want freedom from desires. And therefore, we go to sleep. Sleep is nothing but a temporary freedom from the burden of desires. See, nirvedamayat. So if we look within, what we have been doing in our whole life is nothing but a struggle to fulfill our desires. This struggle to fulfill our desire is called in the mystical language as the ocean of transmigration. Bhavasagar. See, if you know the Sanskrit way of learning, Bhavasagar means a disease of becoming. See? You ask a small child, hey, when you are grown up, what do you want to become? He says, one mother, she was telling me, Swamiji, my son is very intelligent. Every mother has got that illusion. She forgets if he is your son, how he can be intelligent. But they think that he is intelligent. So he told me, Swamiji, my son is so intelligent, You ask him, he gives really unique examples and answers. Okay. I said, hey, what do you want to become? So when I said like this, the mother again intercepted. Swamiji, he knows the whole Ramayana by heart. There was a series of Ramayana and he knows it by heart. So I said, okay, Ramayana. I said, hey, you know Ramayana? Yes, I can tell you. I said, no, don't tell me. Out of all the characters in Ramayana, what you want to become like? Now the mother was expecting, my son will tell, I want to become like Lord Rama. But the son said, Mom, I want to become like Ravana. Ha 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 ha. And then it was a great fun to watch that mother. Look here what he wants to become. Our whole life is only a struggle to become something or the other. This struggle to become something or the other is called as samsara. And this samsara is only till such time we are identified as body. See, friends, many people ask this question, One person in US, he was driving me somewhere and asked this question. Swamiji, according to your Vedanta, how the world is created? So I told him, Vedanta doesn't answer stupid questions. So he got very annoyed. Do you mean this is a stupid question? I said, it is worse than stupid. It is, higher degree of stupidity to ask this question. No, but in our physics we have got a theory. I said, tell me what is the theory? Black hole theory. Yes. Now tell me, what is a hole? See? This is a paper, tissue paper, and now this is a hole. What is a hole? Hole is absence of paper, is it not? Black hole, in what? Black hole theory. Can there be a hole without a substance? No, but we are told that, the world is created out of black hole. I said, the hole is in your head. See, there is nothing like black hole. Or a Big Bang theory. There cannot be a bang unless there are two things. See, if I simply move this hand, does it make a sound? But if it lands on your face, tack, it makes a sound. See, friends, do you mean that it is wrong? I said it is not only wrong, it is stupid. The world is created the moment we are identified with the body. And the world begins from our gross body identification. See, friends, parikshalokan karmachitan, when we thus analyze our own experiences, then we come to know this world is too much for me. Which world is too much for us? Is it the God's creation too much for me, or it is our creation? There are two creations. One is God's creation, Isha Srishti, and second is our creation. A woman is created by God. Woman is never a problem. Now out of that God's creation, the woman, we create a mother, we create a wife, we create a daughter. And who is miserable? Woman is never miserable. Wife is never happy. Now where is the wife? Can we show the wife apart from, independent of the woman? So what happened? The wife, the woman, she became wife. So whenever we become somebody, the samsara is created. In being, there is no problem. In becoming, there is nothing but problem. Think, friends. And how this becoming begins? Only from body identification. There is no other reason. See? So, the one component of our experience, the objectivity. So, the day we drop the objects, like the example we did, you first focus on the backdrop, you dropped it, you became closer to yourself. Then you looked at my face, you became still closer. Then you dropped my face, then you became still closer. You looked at your own eyes. The objectivity disappeared. But we continue to exist. We don't disappear. So, we are because of the body, or the body is because of us? Think. And all our problems are born only after body identification. See, friends. Therefore, till such time we live as a body, there is no freedom. We are bound to suffer in life. There is no way out. Then what we do? Everything we do only to live long. And live long for what? See? Our condition is like a person, he bought a car. And he was so much in love with his car. Every day he will clean it nicely, polish it, put it in a garage, lock the garage, go to work in a public transport, come back. After he comes back, again he will open the garage, again clean the car. Now you are meant for the car or the car is meant for you? Whether the body is meant for me or I am meant for the body. Think, friends. But our whole life goes only after this body. And then we say, Shariramadhyam khalu dharma sadhanam. Keep your body healthy and become a problem for the world. All the terrorists in the world, they are all healthy people. Can you imagine? A terrorist comes with a gun and he says, "Oh God, I have got a spondylosis, please hold my rifle." Oh, no! They are all healthy. Physical health cannot be the ultimate in life. See. Therefore, we have to very clearly understand that we are the resident of the body. See, this is the first step. Otherwise, the whole body will be only living by the body, for the body, on everybody. And see now, next step. We look at the world as we have taken ourselves to be. See? When I take myself to be a man, what will be my perception of this world? This world is made up of two things, man and woman. If I take myself to be old, the world is consisting of two types of people, old and young. If I consider myself to be rich, the world is consisting of rich and poor people. See, friends, we see the world as we have seen ourselves. And what we have seen ourselves? Only the body. See, friends, therefore this is the first and the most important step on the spiritual path. But instead of leading a spiritual life, we are leading Adi Bhautik, means material life, to such an extent that the Yoga Shastra, which is meant for realization of our own self, is applied for health purpose only. See, friends, health cannot be the goal of life. Getting a beautiful car cannot be the goal of life. Car for what? Just to own a car. It has to be used. See, friends, it is only because we are so firmly rooted in this knowledge that body alone I am. Therefore, first step, Adi Bhautik, the material aspect of our life must be reduced to the minimum. And the material aspect is maximum means what? Means we have given importance to the matter beyond limits. See? Our importance to the matter is beyond limits. Whether we are leading a married life, or we are leading a divorce life, or we are leading a sannyasi life, it is only matter oriented. See? How many ashrams I have, how many disciples I have, how many books I have written, how many lectures I give. This is all going away from your own being. See, friends, how much money I have collected. Therefore, unless this material aspect of our life is reduced to the bare minimum. This is what Patanjali says, aparigraha. See. Normally what happens, in the yoga student's life, the first two important things, yama and niyama, they are bypassed. The don'ts and the do's are not practiced. See, ahimsa, satya, asteya, aparigraha, brahmacharya. These 5 things must be practiced. Then only the dispassion will come. And without dispassion, when you do anything, it becomes an obsession. See, friends, therefore, the first step on the spiritual path is this Adi Bhautik we have to conquer. Now, to make this point clear, I'll give an example. What is the meaning of Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik and Adhyatmik? Material, relatively subjective and absolutely subjective. This paper is seen by my eyes. So this paper is objective. Now this paper is seen by the vision in my eyes. The vision is subjective, but not absolutely subjective. It is relatively subjective. Because for the first time, when we get the glasses, how do we get the glasses? We start doing this kind of thing. Because the ability to adjust the focal length by the eye muscles is reduced, therefore we use biceps. What is being done is nothing, but only adjusting the focal length. So, I come to know now, I am not able to see properly. This is the second stage. Relatively subjective. See? This is Adi Daivik. So, external world and structural eye is material. Adi Bhautik. Vision, where experiences happen, is relatively subjective. And be attentive, whether the objects are there or not, whether seen or not, we continue to be. This is absolutely subjective. Absolutely subjective and relatively subjective means, in relative subjectiveness, there is objectivity expected. But in the absolute subjective, there is no objectivity involved. See? So this absolute subjective is Adhyatmic, spiritual. The relatively subjective is Adi Daivik, wherein we get lost in the material world, and Adi Bhautik is wherein we spend our whole life only in possessions and collections and creating relations. See, friends. So the first step in our first session, we discuss body and beyond. See, this is the first step. Now whatever spiritual practice we are doing, if in that spiritual practice, body disidentification is not fixed as a goal, all what we are doing is cheating ourselves. See, we may be able to sit in a particular posture very nicely. We may be able to have good health, very good. What next? See, simply good health cannot be the goal of life. How long will you like to live healthy? 10 years, 20 years, 100 years. The other day I met one person, he is 85 or 90 like that. In Bombay I met him. So I asked him, I said, hey Dadaji, how are you? What are the new things that you are doing these days? Swamiji, I tell you, Now God should call me back. I have no interest. No interest in TV, no movies, not going here and there. I have no interest. But I can't die also. And his question was, how long I have to carry this dirty body? Okay? Don't we get tired of the old clothes? You have to change it enough, throw it away. See? Only long life cannot be the goal of life. See? Then does it mean we should destroy our body? We have no right, friends. I cannot divorce somebody else's wife. If the body is mine, then I can kill it, is it not? But is it mine? It belongs to someone else, the parents have created. So the first right on our body is not our right, it is their right. See? You cannot destroy somebody else's property. We are just tenants in this body. Friends, come to realize this truth. Like, if I keep my glasses here and tell, students, I keep my glasses, they are looking at you, I am going for a walk. No, glasses can't see you. There are eyes behind the glasses. Eyes can't see you. There is mind behind the glasses. Mind cannot see you unless there is somebody behind the mind. So when we close the eyes, do we experience absence of the world of colors and forms? Yes. Do we experience the absence of the experiencer of the color and form? Yes. Do we experience our own absence in the absence of the two? No. This eternal, absolute, subjective being is beyond the body. Without any efforts, evaluate your own experience. This experience doesn't fall in the purview of any experience that we gather through the sense organs or the mind or the intellect. Whether the sense organs are functional or not, whether the mind is experiencing or not, whether the experiencer is there or not, this experience is the ultimate. What we all know is experience of food, experience of cold, experience of heat, experience of joy. We are not talking about experience of. Experience without an object of experience. J. Krishnamurti uses the term objectless awareness. In this, we are not doing anything. We are not practicing asana. We are not practicing pranayama. We are not practicing the chanting of the Lord's name. It is a process of undoing. It is a process of unbecoming. It is an experience without an experiencer. Where is the body? Ridiculous. See, friends, and as we reduce the importance of the body in our life, in that same proportion, the gross objective world will be less important for us. Don't trust me. Analyze your own experiences. During our childhood, how much we were interested in our small little playthings. Now we are grown up. Are we interested in the same things? Because we are grown up. In the same manner, when we are grown up, we rise above the body identification. So when the small children are playing with the car or the aeroplane, they take the aeroplane in the hand and they say, So when they are playing, do we make fun of them? Enjoy. That is their age. But after becoming 45 years of age, you also take this, will it look good? Think, friends. If we are living beyond body, these gross worldly achievements and failures will be zero. It won't have any impact on us. Neither friends nor enemies. See? Nor relations nor no relations. Neither possession nor loss. This is body and beyond. So, all the spiritual practice is only this. First, discard the Adi Bhautik material. Second, discard the Adi Daivik experiences gathered from the matter and getting influenced by those experiences, Adi Daivik. So, experienced objects are Adi Bhautik. Experiencer of the object is Adi Daivik. Experiencer of the object is relatively subject. But the truth is beyond these three. So the first step is, are we walking spiritual path or we are leading another type of material life? See? What is another type of material life? Let's take an example. The other day, I was in Delhi, and one of my old friend, retired brigadier, he must be now about 85 or maybe 82 right there. So he came to meet me on the airport. because I was not going in that direction where he is staying. He said, okay, I'll come and see you on the airport. He came there. So we were sitting in some restaurant, I having a cup of tea, and he told me, Swamiji, good news. I said, come on man, it is old age, are you again getting married or what? He said, no, that is not the good news. Then, good news is, I stopped smoking. See? What is the good news in that? You have discovered freedom. See, friends, when we are materialist, we are holding on to the world. When we think we are growing spiritually, this man, he is thinking he is growing spiritually, and what is his spiritual growth? Now I don't smoke. Friends, the I is intact. Earlier I was smoking, now I doesn't smoke. Earlier I was abusing, now this I doesn't abuse. Earlier I was eating non-vegetarian, now this I doesn't eat non-vegetarian. The I is the culprit which is maintained in and through different ways. We have to get rid of this I. This is the relative subject. See, friends, therefore, the presence and the absence of the things, when it is equal, then alone we have graduated to some extent from the relative subject towards the absolute subject. See, initially, talking, like a poultry farm. Then, no, we should observe silence. External silence, internal volcanoes. See, I was in Haridwar and going with my friend in that, manual rickshaw. So my friend told me, Swamiji, in this ashram there is a big Mahatma. Can we take and say hello to him? I said, yes, let's go. So we got down from the rickshaw, left the rickshaw, and we went inside the ashram. So when I went, secretary was there. See, Mahatmas with secretaries are professionals. See? So the secretary was there. And when we went, excuse me, what do you want? I said, I don't want anything. It's truth. I don't want anything. Then, you have come? I said, yes, I have come to take darshan of Maharaji. No, he is not available. He is observing Mauna. They're all right. From outside, I did like this. So when I went out of the ashram for some time, that man came running. Wait. What happened now? You can return my namaskar if you don't like. No, Maharaji has called you. I said, how can he call me? He is on Maunam. He is observing silence. How can he call? No, you come. I said, all right. So I went. And then he told my friend, you cannot go inside. I said, no, hang around. So I went inside, as if I am subjected to some terrible thing. And then Mahatma was sitting on a big, chair like that. And one plastic chair was kept. Sit here. He is on Maunam, he cannot talk. So he took a paper and pen. What is your name? So I wrote, Swami Gadvadananda. Then he again took it. Then he wrote, where from you have come? So I had to write something. So I wrote Vrindavan. Then, where do you stay here? So I told some ashram's name. And then he laughed and I also laughed. The reason is, I forgot that I am not on Maunam. Because he was writing, I was writing. But I can talk. When he asks me, writing, what is your name? I can tell, Swami Anuvananda. But I forgot, I can talk. So I started writing. And when he laughed and I also laughed, then I asked him. I said, oh, I forgot I can talk because you were writing, I was writing. Then my question is laughing allowed in Maunam? See, friends, how much we are deceiving ourselves. Bhagavad Gita says, Atmaiva Atmano Bandhu Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha. We are our enemy number one. There is no enemy outside in the world. Because we are cheating ourselves. We don't cheat others, we cheat ourselves. See? Because the purpose of our life is spiritual evolution. But instead of walking the spiritual path, we get lost only in the material world through the spiritual channel. Look here. This is how the body identification becomes a big obsession for us. See? I tell you what is the meaning of body identification obsession. One small example. In one of my meditation retreat in Europe, one of the European countries, see, I was talking that when you drop your body, now play Mr. Nobody. Remain as Mr. Nobody. After everything was over, and we had a nice breakfast, and we went for a nice walk in the countryside, for plucking the apple, and then one elderly lady, very much involved in the so-called spiritual practice, she said, Swamiji, one thing I didn't like. I said, who cares? Don't like, don't like. I don't compel you should like what I say. Don't like, throw it away. No. Why did you say Mr. Nobody? See, body identification. You should not say Mr. Nobody. You should say Miss Nobody. I said, why? I will say Mrs. Nobody. If you are happy with that. This is how our body identification is so deeply rooted. We cannot think beyond it. See, friends, therefore, if our body identification is reduced to that extent, these worldly achievements and failures will mean nothing to us. See? But for us, if somebody tells, oh, you are great, we start bloating like the frog becoming the bull. And if somebody tells me you are dumb, we start shrinking into an amoeba. See? We are evaluated by others and we don't know what we are. See, friends, one of a great master, I learned from him a lot. Once we told him, sir, we'll come and pick you up and take to the inauguration of the function. He said, you don't have to come, I'll come on my own. When you come and receive me, that doesn't make me great. And if you don't come and don't receive me, that doesn't make me small. I know what I am. How beautiful it is. Our greatness is dependent on others. See, everybody tells that you are good. I may be good. Ram, Ram, Ram. Discover this freedom from body identification. Then what will be the lifestyle? Lifestyle will be, we will no more live as the body, but we will be living through the body. See? So my voice is not enough to reach all of you. So what we have done, we have taken a machine, amplifying system. Now this amplifying mic, if this mic starts making its own noise, sometime it makes, isn't it? Electronic onkar, sometimes. So what we'll do with that mic? Throw it away. The mic is supposed to obediently convey what is said by the speaker without adding anything from its own side, is it not? We are that mic which is to be held by the divine will. And if this mic makes a noise, we throw him away. In the same manner, the mic that we are, we start making noise. I am so and so, I have done this thing, I throw it. And then what happens? People don't recognize my greatness, people don't understand how great I am. Frustration, depression, dejection, all these things start happening. See, friends, therefore, let us remember, we are living through the body like I am communicating you through the mic. The mic is not talking. In the same manner, my lips are not talking and your drums are not hearing. There is somebody behind the lips and I hope there is somebody behind the drums. Or maybe sleeping in between. The more you become subjective, all the things pertaining to the body, they start becoming insignificant. And then only you can be really happy. See? And this choice is ours. We are given this choice. Now decide whether you want to live as body or you want to live through the body. Live as the body, nothing wrong, but be ready to accept all the problems of the body. Old age, disease, death. Accept it gracefully. Nothing wrong. But we want to live as the body, but we should not become old. Then what we do? We do the makeup. For what? To cover the breakup. See? Live in the dignity of the old age and be happy. See, friends. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.